It's always pay your debts until the topic of reparations comes up. I'm white, right? But guess what? I don't owe you anything.
Do me a favor, can y'all both stop acting as though you actually give a shit, like about anything at all, especially black issues? Let's illustrate why you don't care from the beginning.
Have we reached such a privileged point in our society that we have to look into history in order to find things to fix rather than fixing problems that are right in front of us?
What the fuck does this even mean? You're saying that we as a society must be privileged because we're looking to fix things in the past instead of things that are right in front of us? Because you don't understand the concept of time or something? Black people as a demographic, let me say that again, as a demographic, are where they are today due to shit that happened in the past. Gay marriage had to be affirmed by the Supreme Court in 2015 due to things that happened to gay people in the past. Reparations, or addressing what happened to the black community on behalf of the United States government and why they're in the positions they are today and fixing those positions, is addressing something that is right in front of us. Unless you just propose that black people sit and enjoy their disproportionately fucked positions for all of eternity.
The reason nobody talks about the debts of reparations is because the people who owe the debts are not alive. But I'll say it, because whatever. I'm white, right? But guess what? I don't owe you anything. I never owned anyone.
For me to assume that anything besides air was circulating up here when you said this is for me to be doing a disservice. And the fact that this is the exact moment in which he decided to clap means at maximum it could have been TV static. Because I know neither of you have actually looked at what reparations is, because you don't care. So you've just chosen to believe that reparations is when white people owe black people money for slavery. Even though if you were to Google something like Nina Turner on reparations, which is the person whose tweet you were fucking responding to, the first link would literally tell you reparations is not about cutting a check, it's about repairing a community. And in the article that Nina Turner literally contributed to, it says this. Read that, because white people can't just do that. It's almost as if we're talking about the United States government. So in other words, no one gives a fuck about you in particular when it comes to this issue. But if you can paint it that way, it makes it a lot easier to not support and just shut your ears off and not pay attention. And if he can frame it like that, it makes him look like the one intelligent, hardworking black person that doesn't need any handouts and is just gonna go get it on his own. Those two things are both profitable to you two when it comes to owning the left. But to real people who are still suffering from the issues that are downstream effects of the things that you guys scoff at, you two are distractions.
I already know I'm gonna get called the R word that ends in cis. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, because I'm the one that's gonna say I don't owe reparations.
One, remember how I said this isn't about you in particular? Because newsflash, there's no reparations proposal on the table that's being considered that is just white people giving black people money. Again, you could have looked it up and found out that due to violent crime being concentrated in areas that lack community investment, simple things like rehabilitating vacant lots can significantly decrease violence within downtrodden, disproportionately black communities. An analysis of historically redlined areas found that even after adjusting for socio-demographic factors, the same places that were imagined to be areas untrustworthy of economic investment by virtue of the races, ethnicities, and religions of their residents were more likely to be places where violence and violent injury are most common a century later. So you want to know what we could do as a form of reparations? Rebuilding the physical environment in poorer communities. Pause to read. We could work to address income inequality within communities. Pause to read. Even before all that, we could find an actual definition of reparations that has been provided by scholars in order to help us move forward. And then we could find where multiple problems manifest themselves, including school finance, in order to inform us on how to move forward. And then we could hear out a scholarly proposal on how to move forward, what channels we would have to go through, what the program would look like, and what arguments could be made for the constitutionality of it if it were to go into effect. Because you have to actually analyze past problems in order to fucking move forward. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna post the link to this source right here to help you. And I'm going to make it clear to you something that all other scholars on this topic have acknowledged, that reparations would be funded through tax dollars, which everybody pays, but none of it matters because at the end of the day,
I don't owe you anything. And nobody will say it, but I don't. Nobody is responsible for the crimes of their ancestors. If that's the case, then every single one of us would owe every single one of us something, because throughout history, every single person, regardless of skin color, has been owned. They actually think you can't succeed based off of your own merit and that you need help from everybody else in order to succeed in this country. And isn't it ironic that the people who are saying this are the ones who are the most successful in our country? The ones who are saying that you need reparations to succeed when they didn't need them? It's because they don't believe that you're as capable as they are.
Are you aware how you saying that in the face of everything I just went over says much more about you than me calling you racist ever would? We can skip the fact that the slavery of people who weren't even considered white, I wonder why, has literally nothing to do with the relationship between black and white people in the United States. We can skip the fact that not only is meritocracy a myth, you framing the government correcting course for fucking over people as they're assuming that you can't succeed on merit, again, says a lot more about you than me calling you racist ever would. We can skip you gaslighting by trying to suggest that successful black people who think that we need reparations just believe that you're not as capable as them because they didn't need it. Fails to recognize that both Frederick Douglass Douglas, Martin Luther King Jr., and Thurgood Marshall were all successful men in their time period, none of whom received reparations, which means that by your logic, due to there being successful black people in every era of black history, there has never been a need for reparations, which is not only dumb on its face, it contradicts your own point about how we don't talk about it because all the people who owe the debts are dead. What debts? There were successful black people back then too. We can skip it all because you've never looked at an actual reparations proposal. We can skip it all because your ignorance on this topic stems from the fact that you feel like reparations is just, well, white people owe black people stuff, when it's never that simple and would never be implemented that way.
If we want skin color to not have any merit on how much you can contribute to society, then we have to stop putting so much emphasis on it.
And herein lies the crux of everything. Because you getting outraged that you as a white person may be held liable and need to owe people something for something that you didn't do, despite the fact that no reparations proposal that are easily Googleable say that or would do that. And while you're outraged, you're simultaneously telling people not to put an emphasis on race anymore, when again, a government helping out a demographic of people that it's fucked over would have no negative racial implications unless you made it, shows exactly why you're not serious. Shows why people who say meritocracy, let's just move along, are as dumb as the open white supremacists.